What is up, True Strength Fat Lossers? Coach Jordan here. Thank you very much for checking out this video. I asked you guys to come up with a couple questions for our first Q&A in the group, and you responded very well. You guys came up with some fantastic questions. Please excuse me if at any point there's kind of a little bit of a pause. This is the first time I've actually done a Google Hangout, so I'm just kind of figuring this out as I go along here. So if I screw anything up, just be patient. I'll figure it out. So a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. First off, I just want to say you guys are doing a fantastic job in the group. I'm really happy with the progress we're seeing so far. You guys are crushing your workouts. You're hitting your macros good. So I like what I'm seeing. This is actually the last week of phase 1. So you guys are going to be getting new training programs and new macros from me before Sunday. So you can go ahead and start those on Monday right away. I think there's 1 or 2 of you that joined the group late. You might be a week or so behind. I would like you to finish out the first 4 weeks of phase 1 before you jump into the phase 2 training program. You can go ahead and start the macros right away next week when you get them, but I would like you to finish out the 4 weeks of the initial training program phase. So keep an eye out for those. You can ask any questions, obviously, should they come up. One other housekeeping item, weekly check-ins. Make sure you guys are keeping up with that. That is vitally important for me when I am creating your plan and assessing your progress. If I don't have your latest measurements, it's very difficult to me to assess where you're at, to see if your macros are working, if your training program is working the way it's supposed to. So just make sure you guys are keeping up with that on a weekly basis. Remember, weigh-ins, measurements on Wednesdays, everything else by the end of the week. So I think that is it as far as housekeeping goes. If I think of anything, we will talk about it at the end. Excuse me if I'm looking off screen here a little bit. You guys had some great questions, and I just have a couple notes here to make sure that we cover everything in your questions. So without further ado, let's get going. I'm going to try and be as concise as possible and not ramble on too much. I have a tendency to do that, unfortunately, sometimes. So let's get right into it. The first, you guys each did 2 questions. So the first questions come from Christina. And Christina's first question is, does muscle really weigh more than fat? And how do you know for sure if you're losing weight and gaining muscle? Good first question, Christina. Well, muscle does not weigh more than fat, because a pound of muscle and a pound of fat are both going to weigh a pound. Where that kind of gets confusing for some people is muscle is actually denser than fat. And what that means is a pound of muscle is going to take up a lot less space than a pound of fat. That's why you look and you could see 2 people who, one person is 10% body fat, one person is 20% body fat. And if they're both 200 pounds, one person's going to look like they weigh a lot less, the person with 10% body fat, because that muscle is a lot denser. So muscle doesn't not weigh more than fat, but it is denser, so it takes up a lot less space. So 2 people could weigh the same, but they're not going to look like they weigh the same. And the second part of the question was, how do you know for sure if you're losing weight and gaining muscle? That is the reason that we take measurements, waist measurements, hip measurements, chest, at multiple points around the body, because, the scale, it has its place in tracking progress, but it does not tell the whole story. As you guys probably read in the tracking progress guide that I gave you at the start, the scale can't differentiate between muscle and fat. Even the ones that says it can tell you it's your body fat percentage, it's wrong. The scale can only tell you what the contents of your body weigh. It can't tell you what those contents are. So that's why we take measurements, and that's why we take pictures, because these are going to give us a better indication of where we are losing weight. If your measurements are going down and the scale is going down, more than likely you're losing fat. If your measurements are going down and the scale is staying the same, that means that more than likely you are losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time. So that's why we measure. That's why we take pictures. Looking at your pictures from month to month, that helps me to determine, whether or not you're losing fat. If your scale weight has stayed the same, but I look at your pictures and there's a visible difference, that more than likely means that you've lost fat and gained muscle. So as far as, being able to tell, whoops, I clicked on the wrong tab here. As far as being able to tell if you're losing weight and gaining muscle, the two best ways are just looking at pictures of yourself month to month and taking those measurements and comparing them to what you're seeing on the scale. And actually, third one that I forgot is your performance in the gym. If you are, lifting more weight every week, if your performance is good, and you are seeing that scale weight drop, there's a good chance that you are maintaining lean muscle mass because you are not losing strength gains, and that you're losing body fat. So outside of the scale, again, just to recap, taking measurements, photos month to month, and gym performance. All those things are going to be better indicators of if you're losing fat and maintaining lean muscle. So Christina's next question was, can you explain a little bit more about intermittent fasting and the benefits of doing it? Yes, I can. I am a big proponent of intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for 4 years now. That's actually kind of how I got started with my own personal weight loss journey. I read an article by John Romanello about intermittent fasting, and I'm like, oh, this seems really like something I could do. And it definitely helped me a lot in losing weight. But as far as, the benefits of it, are largely more so psychological than physiological. There have been some studies that have shown that intermittent fasting will increase insulin sensitivity, increase secretion of growth hormone, which is going to help your performance in the gym, and increase cognitive function. But a lot of that is those studies, they're not great studies. The benefits of intermittent fasting are more psychological, and it largely has to do with your lifestyle and how you prefer to go about eating. Some people find that if they're eating throughout the day, they get home in the evenings and they might tend to overeat, because dinner for most of us tends to be the largest meal of the day. With intermittent fasting, by pushing your first meal back, till about noon or whatever, if you're doing a 16/8 fast, you're going to allow yourself to eat more later in the day, and you are less likely to overeat the larger and fewer frequent meals you are eating. So it's largely a lifestyle choice, I guess would be the word, for most people as far as a benefit. Some people, like myself, I prefer larger meals. I feel more satisfied. I feel fuller, and I'm normally busy enough in the mornings where I don't miss eating at all. Some people like eating more often. So it's really a matter of personal preference. IF is not a magic bullet by any means. It's not going to make or break your fat loss efforts. The most important thing is calories in versus calories out. And just by, and if you're not counting calories, which some people are not going to do that, just restricting the amount of time in which you actually are eating by nature is probably going to restrict how many calories you eat as well. So the benefits, like I said, are more psychological. They're more individually based. It's not for everyone. It's something that, you know, I encourage all my clients to experiment with. Some of them do it, some of them don't. It's, like I said, it's not going to make or break your progress by any means. So let me just look over my notes and make sure that I covered everything I wanted to there. Yep, that is it. All right, Christina, great questions. Moving on, Jen has a couple questions here. Jen's first question is, how do I fit workouts in around working afternoons and a night shift? You know, this is a question and a concern that I get a lot is, how do I find the time to work out? And, you know, unfortunately, there really is no trick that I can give you. The thing I say to most clients is, you know, you have to decide, you have to look at your schedule, and you have to decide what in your schedule is important. You know, if weight loss, getting in shape is important to you, you need to make time for it. You know, maybe that's watching one less hour of TV a night. Maybe that's getting up a half hour earlier and going to bed a half hour later, so you have that extra hour in your day. You know, and even if it's just getting in half the workout, some days where you can't fit the whole workout in, it's better than nothing. But you know, I can't tell you one way or another how to get a workout into your schedule, because everybody is different. Everybody has, you know, like Jen, you said you have 2 different jobs. You know, maybe it's taking, you know, maybe it's on your break, just getting in half a workout in, I don't know how long you might have a break for, but it's really just looking at your schedule and seeing where you can fit it in. Because if it is important to you, like, you know, other things in your life, you know, I'm not going to speculate what that might be for anybody, but the things that are important in our lives, we make time for. And if, you know, working out and fat loss is important to you, you will make time for it. So it really is, you know, largely dependent on the individual. And like I said, something is better than nothing. If you're doing the first half of the workout, that's still better than doing nothing at all. So yeah, it's just, you have to figure out what works for you in your schedule. I can't tell you, you know, oh, do this to make more time in the day, because we all have the same amount of time in the day. Nobody has more than 24 hours, and it's just a matter of making it work for you, really. So Jen, your next question is, when is the best time to eat when working the night shift? Does it matter what time of day you eat for your metabolism? No, it does not matter what time you eat. I like to stay away from absolutes like best and worst, because there is no one approach that works best for everybody. I say this over and over again, and it might sound like a broken record, but what works best is what works best for you. And only you can determine that. But as far as, you know, is when you eat important? No, it's not. The most important thing is getting your calories in for the day and staying at or under your maintenance calories. If you're trying to lose weight, obviously you want to be under that. So your total calories for the day is what matters, not when you eat. I believe I touched on it a little bit in the nutrition guide, that the myth of meal timing and whatever, it's just that, a myth. You know, your body doesn't know whether you're eating at night or really in the morning. All that matters to your body is how many calories you're eating. And so, you know, when people tell you, oh, don't eat carbs at night, well, your body doesn't know that it's night, especially if you just worked out, you know, in the evening. Your body needs those carbs to replenish glycogen stores and to help fuel and to help you recover from those workouts. So as far as time of day eating for your metabolism, no, that doesn't matter. What matters for your metabolism is, you know, hitting your calories for the day. I think I covered that pretty much what I wanted to say. Yep. And if you guys, I'll post this in the group, and if you guys have further questions regarding anything I say, please feel free to ask. in the thread. I'll be more than happy to answer, or I'm more than happy, obviously, to answer questions anytime you guys have them. It doesn't just have to be regarding Q&As. So Ali, you had the next two questions actually, and they were both kind of the same. Basically, what you're asking is, do we have to stick with the schedule that I gave you for the workouts, or can you mix them up depending on your schedule? Absolutely, you can. You don't have to follow the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday template that I laid out for you. You can work out 2 days in a row. The only thing I caution against is working out 3 days in a row on this plan, is because our main focus is strength training, and that is very taxing on the central nervous system. So you don't want to, especially since we're also eating in a caloric deficit, it's going to be tougher to recover from 2 days working out in a row, 3 days working out in a row. 2 days probably isn't going to hurt you if you have to do it. I always like, when we're strength training, though, to have at least one rest day between strength sessions. But it's not the end of the world if you have to go back-to-back days. But try and not go 3 days in a row, because then you're going to really start making recovery difficult. I think, Ali, you asked too, you're getting at about arranging the workout schedule. I have these workouts kind of set up in the order that they're most optimally done. So I would prefer to you guys stick with the order, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. But if you feel you want to mix it up or something, you can always ask me about more specific days, more specific workouts in the group, and I would be happy to provide you some feedback on that, and whether it's okay, or I would caution against it. But I would prefer you guys stick with the schedule that's laid out. Like I said, you can move days around. You don't always have to work out Monday, Wednesday. You could work out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. But the order should always stay the same, at least for this first phase. As we go into the subsequent phases, if you guys have questions or want to maybe mix up the days, you can always ask me. That's not a problem. So, all right. Next question is from Joshua. Joshua has 2 questions here. His first one is, what are good substitutions for white carbs? Carb question, my favorite. So I guess, Joshua, the first question I would ask back to you is why do you want to substitute something for white carbs? If it's because you find they give you digestive issues or other sort of digestive problems, then I would say simply just switching to if it's breads or pastas, whole wheat versions. Instead of white rice, brown rice, instead of white potatoes, sweet potatoes. So if it gives you digestive issues, then definitely, obviously, make some substitutions. I don't want you being uncomfortable when you're eating. But if you are asking about making substitutions because you believe they will help your fat loss, then I would say that no matter what the low carb or glycemic index zealots say, it's not going to make a difference. On the hierarchy of importance, it's calories first, the quality of your food second, but quality is not pretty far down, but far enough down where, if you want to eat white rice, white bread, white potatoes, that it's not going to harm your fat loss efforts as long as you are hitting your calories and macros for the day. As far as the glycemic index goes, that's not really that important when it comes to fat loss. Like I said, the low carb zealots would have you believe that insulin is the driving force behind fat loss and that you have to eat whole wheat this and only brown rice, and white rice raises insulin too much, so you're going to store it all as fat. That's complete crap. The number one thing is and always will be calories in versus calories out. So are you burning more calories than you are burning more calories than you are taking in? So as long as your energy output is greater than your energy input, you are going to lose weight. And I'm working on a article right now that will hopefully be done here in the next week, talking about the importance of counting macros over just counting calories. But know that calories in versus calories out are always important. And if you want to eat white rice, if you want to eat potatoes, you can. I do all the time. I don't, I don't like brown rice. I never have. I'll eat sweet potatoes. I'll eat whole wheat bread. I eat whole wheat bread most of the time, but that's just because I prefer it. But know that, white versus, brown rice, it doesn't really make a difference in the grand scheme of things. So, Josh, I hope that helped answer your first question. Oh, where's my mouse here? There it is. Your next question looks like a little more fun and personal one. Do you have any vanity exercises or ones you do just for fun? I am currently on a cut, so I am in a caloric deficit right now. So I don't currently do a lot of extra stuff, just because, it's going to impact my recovery, and I'm eating in a caloric deficit. So I don't have a whole lot of extra calories for my body to use for recovery. So, I try to just stick with my plan, hit my main lifts, and, call it a day. But, on instances where, I like holidays or something, when I know I'm going to be eating extra calories, I will throw in some vanity work for sure. I'm a guy. I love hitting arms. I love back exercises, specifically, any deadlift variations. Those are probably my favorite. And then I love sprints. I love running the sprints. Just something about going all out as fast as you can, and it's fun for me. So those are the kind of exercises I do for fun. Sprinting is something I'll throw in, even when I'm cutting, because I only do a few rounds of sprints, and it doesn't impact my recovery really that much. But yeah, I love sprints. Sprints are fun. Not for vanity, really, obviously, because that's just more of a metabolic, extra fat burning boost. But deadlift for fun, deadlift variations, any deadlift variation really is fun for me. I love experimenting with different variations. And for 1 month I'll love doing sumo deadlift, and then the next month I'll hate it and I'll love doing trap bar deadlift. So I always love experimenting with different deadlift variations. They're definitely my favorite exercise. So yeah, good question. I like those more personal ones. Those are good. All right, and we are down to our last two questions. Missy asked these, and they are both very good questions and ones that I see quite a bit. So her first one is, what is the truth behind spot reducing? Is it truly a myth? Yes, spot reducing is 99% a myth, I would say. The way fat loss works in the body is it's all about blood flow, and areas that get greater blood flow are going to lose fat faster than areas that don't receive a lot of blood flow. And for guys, those areas that don't receive a lot of blood flow are your abs and your love handles and lower back, which is the reason that those are usually the last areas that you will lose fat in. And women, it's the hips, and the lower abs as well. So the reason that it's always slower in those areas is because of blood flow. You can technically increase blood flow in areas by adding in extra by building up muscle in those areas. Increased presence of muscle in those areas is going to require increased blood flow, but simply doing 1,000 sets of curls or a bunch of ab exercises is not going to increase the fat burning from that area. That's still going to come from your caloric deficit. So yes, spot reduction is mainly a myth. It's completely a myth, actually. You can't, just by doing a bunch of exercises, burn fat from one area. You can increase blood flow to a certain area by building up the muscles in that area. But to do that, you would have to eat in a caloric surplus in order for your body to grow that muscle. So you actually would not be burning any fat from those areas anyway. Workouts are for building muscle, maintaining strength, maintaining lean muscle mass. Your diet is where you're going to burn, is where you're going to lose fat from. So yeah, spot reduction, myth. All right. And our last question, Missy asks, why do some swear by cardio and some swear against it? The old cardio versus no cardio question. Whenever somebody asks me this question, I always am completely honest up front. I hate cardio. I hate jogging. I hate running. I hate ellipticals. I hate bikes. I hate anything that resembles steady state cardio. So where you're on a piece of equipment for 20, 30, 40 minutes to an hour at a time. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I haven't done it in years. I think the most time I spend now on any piece of equipment is maybe 20 minutes. What I do love, and that's the type of cardio I hate, steady state cardio. And that, unfortunately, is probably 90% of the cardio you see people doing at gyms. The cardio I do love is high intensity intervals. So things like sprints on the treadmill, bike intervals, metabolic resistance training. These, as far as fat loss goes, are probably a better option for a lot of people, especially when you're strength training as well. And the reason that there is such a big divide between the cardio and the no cardio crowd is, on one side you have weightlifters and bodybuilders who say cardio is going to eat all your muscles away, and you shouldn't do it. And on the other side you have the cardio crowd who say, oh, the only way to lose fat is to do cardio because it burns more calories than resistance training. And that's true. It does. The actual act of performing cardio, whatever it might be, will burn more calories in the actual activity. But that's it. Weightlifting and strength training and metabolic resistance training will not burn as many calories during the actual activity itself, but you will continue to burn more calories after you're done due to the excess post-oxygen consumption, the excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, excuse me. And what that means is it takes your body longer and more oxygen to get back to its normal state after resistance training than it does after cardio. So, and the more oxygen your body needs to take in to return to that normal state, the more calories it's going to burn. So resistance training increases this effect for a longer period of time after you're actually done than cardio does. The other problem with cardio is that, well, there's two other problems that I'm going to talk about. The one problem is that most people perform the same cardio workout after workout, day after day, week after week, thinking that they are going to get the same results each time. But your body doesn't work like that. The more inefficient you are at performing an activity, the more calories you're going to burn while performing that activity. So the better you get at your cardio workout, the less calories you're going to burn. What people should be doing if they're going to perform cardio is not increasing the duration, but increasing the intensity. Work harder for shorter periods of time instead of working the same for longer periods of time. You get what I'm saying? Intensity always trumps duration when it comes to calories burned through exercise, always. You know, a 20-minute interval workout is going to burn more calories each time than a, you know, 40-minute steady jog. Just because, you know, if you're performing that jog at the same speed every time, your body's going to get used to that and you're going to burn fewer calories. Whereas by incorporating intervals, your body is not going to be able to get used to performing that, and it's going to have to work harder each time you perform that, thus burning more calories. This is a long topic, not necessarily a complicated topic, but there's a lot of information. And if you guys do want more information on this, my newsletter subscribers, when you sign up for my newsletter at jordanpogglefitness.com, get my free Cardio 2.0 ebook. When you sign up, I'll send that right to you, right through the email, and you can download it. It has all this information about cardio versus resistance training and the different effects and all the science that goes into it, as well as I think there's like 30 free workouts in there as well. So I encourage you guys, if you want more information on the cardio versus resistance training topic, because I could go on forever here, I encourage you to sign up for my newsletter. You'll get latest blog post updates and other cool stuff on there. So yeah, if that's something that interests you, sign up on the website. That was our last question. Let me just see if there was anything else here. I don't think so. We covered all the questions. Hopefully that answered your guys' questions. Like I said, this is my first time doing this, so hopefully I'll get better at it as we go along. I will link this in the group. And obviously, if you're watching, I will have linked it in the group, so that was dumb to say. But yeah, keep a lookout for new plans coming this weekend. Get your check-ins filled out. And if you have any further questions regarding anything I said in this video, post them below. So thanks, guys. Keep being awesome. Keep kicking ass on your workouts, and I will see you in the group. Later.